Hey everybody, it's Brad with the Big Family Homestead, and today we're talking about a subject that has been more and more on my heart lately, and I felt like it was important enough to share it with you again. I've shared it probably about a year and a half ago, but we're going to be talking today about information, basic information that you need to know in many different situations, and I'll stop being so cryptic and we'll get to the video right now. So as you know, our society lives, eats, lives, sleeps, breathes information. And we're surrounded by data, we're surrounded by TV, radio, we're surrounded with internet and stories and this and that. And it got me to thinking just how dependent we are on information. And here's the thing, we're as a society, we're absolutely addicted to it and we don't even realize it. Funny thing, I've been in the past with youth programs and different retreat kind of arrangements, and the kids were asked to give up their cell phones for just a few days. Some of them had literal meltdowns. Others would literally hide them and lie about having them. This is a Christian camp, by the way, and others just couldn't deal with it. We are absolutely immersed in it, and anytime the slightest thing pops into our head, I wonder if blah, 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 and you're trying to figure out something, you're Googling it. You know, it only takes a few seconds and you have the information you need at hand. Well, here's the scoop. What if you couldn't get that information? What if something were to happen in society and all of a sudden the internet was no longer there? I know, sounds crazy. Well, what happens if all of a sudden there was no electricity? Would you be able to go ahead and provide yourself with the information that you need to get by in day-to-day living, preparedness kind of things? I'm not talking about like conspiracy stuff where, you know, the government's going to change all this and that. And you know what? They all do. That's the funny thing. You know, history is said to be written by the victor, and there's a reason for that. I'm not going down the political path at all, but let's just say this. Look in some encyclopedias from, say, 20 years ago or even 50 years ago, or even older if you have access. The facts are kind of sketchy on what's being taught in schools today compared to what was in them 50 or 100 years ago. And I'm here to tell you, I've seen it in my own kids, you know, what they come home with, school stuff. History is being crafted and shaped to make certain people, certain movements, certain ideas and agendas more or less favorable to who wrote them, if that makes sense. But let's talk about just a basic thing like, let's say that there was a solar flare that was a really, really big solar flare. And these things happen all the time, but scientists say that there could be a really big solar flare, and that basically it could act like an EMP, which is an electromagnetic pulse in our atmosphere. If that happens, absolutely everything with a chip, a microchip, a microprocessor of any kind is going to break. It's going to fail. And that means no cell phones, that means no electricity, the power grid is down. And what happens to you then? Let's just say that you've got some preparedness stuff on hand, and you've got a little food, you've got a little water put aside, but you get a cut, you get a nasty cut. How do you deal with it? That brings me to my point for the day. Please stock up, get a hold of hard copies of information that is really important in your day-to-day world. I mean, think about it like this. Oops, I'm dropping things. How valuable would this $5.99 book on first aid come in handy? It has everything in here from heat stroke, frostbite, how to deal with stitches, dislocations, broken arms. If you couldn't get this information, how valuable is it? I'd say pretty valuable. Things like this. Here's one. Let's just say for a second that you're having to be in a situation where the grid is not coming back on anytime soon. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just saying, let's do the what if situations. You guys know I'm a big fan of preparedness. And so I try to think about these what if situations. Well, I'm a beekeeper, but even though I've been keeping bees for just about 7 or 8 years now, I learn new stuff every day. And it would be a good thing to have on hand instead of online, that I can just go grab a book and go, okay, I thought this might have been varroa mites. Let's check it out. And you have that information on hand. How about this? Backyard medicine. Ways to heal your body. Ways to bring salve to your bodies if you cannot get to a doctor. That's huge. Here's another one. I bumped the tripod there. But I touched on this a little bit earlier, but encyclopedias. You would be amazed at what they talk about the American Revolution in a 50-year-old encyclopedia as opposed to what's being taught today. It's crazy, guys. The kids that are in the school that I know of, they're basically being taught that it was just a bunch of racist, rich white guys out to pretty much everybody, and I'm not going to get into the nasty words, but they're basically being taught that the United States is garbage and started that way. Now, it's odd because the encyclopedia set that I have from 50 years ago teaches a very, very different story, you know? And so here's the thing. I would encourage you to get out there, and if you do not have hard copies, a physical, tangible copy of at least the basic information stuffs that you will need in a crisis situation, or maybe just because you want to be able to historically document and go, look, they said this here, they said that there, they said that there, now they're saying this. I think those things are important. I would encourage you to look into at least medical stuff, bare bones medical stuff, mechanical things, how things work. You know, how about this? You know, solar power. What happens if, you know, you were the only one around and you have some solar stuff, but you don't really know how to put it together, or batteries, or how it works. And, oh, I was going to share something else too with you. Now, if there was not an electromagnetic pulse, if it was just, you know, you want to store information, how about this? How about your family photos? Get physical copies, guys. The internet, it could be changed in a flash. I mean, think about Wikipedia. Yes, there's a process of changing things, but are you going to tell me that if, let's say, the powers that be wanted to change data, that they just couldn't? I'm not buying that. What do you think all of this net neutrality is about? Everybody wants a piece of the control of the internet, right? Big business wants it, the government wants it, and guess who's going to get the hose, the shaft? It's going to be us, the users. No matter who ends up getting their way, less freedom is bad for you and me. Now, if you're talking about just getting, you know, copies of photos and stuff like that, I would recommend that you get them printed out. Those really important memories, get them printed out. Put them in a book. I know it's not something that's convenient to do today, because of the cost, and you know, you got to take it physically. There's services online where you can email it in and then they'll just send you prints, but think about those memories. You wouldn't want them gone forever. And I'm not talking about putting them on a cloud server. I'm saying have physical, tangible copies in your hand. And if you can't do that, here's a next best option. Get yourself a thumb drive. These things have an incredible amount of read cycles. They're almost, it's just, we would outlive the ability to take data off of this. There's a limited amount of write data where it goes on, but almost an unlimited amount of read data. Now these things, you know, they're cheap. You can pick them up for a couple bucks. Get a couple, you know, back up your important stuff. But once again, I'm saying for sure, tangible, physical copies. Do yourself a favor. Libraries have sales all the time where you can pick up a book for a quarter. A lot of cities have what the store chain that's called Half Price Books. They're great. They'll even take your old books in on trade, and so that you can get some of these things very, very affordably. I know a lot of big bookstore chains once a year will have like a warehouse sale. Everything goes for like 75, 85% off. But do yourself a favor. Get some physical copies. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I would hate for you guys not to have what you need in the event of some crazy, stupid thing happening in our world. And yeah, I don't know why this has been on my heart, and hopefully there's nothing looming. I don't sense that there's something, or know of anything specific. I just have this weight on my heart to share as much preparedness with you guys as you will take, because I know this is not a preparedness only channel, but it is a part of our lives. And so I think it would be wrong for me not to share these things that are coming from my heart, so that you can have the benefit of the doubt and you make the decision for yourself. Obviously, you'd be like, oh, Brad, you're full of baloney. Why don't you just go do a family vlog video and leave us be with this? And I understand that, and that's, some people are not going to listen to the message, and I can't help that. But it would be wrong for me not to share it. So with that said, I think I've shared enough. Get physical copies, guys. Those things that are important, do yourself a favor. Anyway, there it is. I'm Brad with the Big Family Homestead, and you have an amazing day. Oh my gosh, guys, this is absolutely crazy. I just got done filming the video you're watching, and I didn't see it, but you probably saw it, that the computer monitor behind me went off. As I'm literally telling you about the importance of getting your data, and the internet is not something to be relied on for important stuff, my computer shut off. The internet was shut off for about an hour. Ain't that something? Kind of proves my point. Have an awesome day, guys.